Hello guys, we're back in the shop. Finally got a day off work. It's Saturday now, and I am going to be continuing the small block chibby. First order of business today is punching out cam bearings, because I took one look at these and I was like, yep, I should run them. Nope, I'm doing the right thing for once, and I got some King tri-metal race bearings. I'm sure no one wants the part number to them, but if you do, get a hold of me and I will probably forget to tell you. But this is going to be showing you how to do cam bearings on a basic small block. First off, you're going to need a very specialized tool that you can buy off of the eBays for like $48. No, it's not a snap-on model. It's a snap-off model actually. But I'm going to show you how to use even the cheapest of cam bearing tools, and we'll drive out all these cam bearings on this small block Chevy, and I'll show you the do's and don'ts of driving in new ones, and then we will get to putting in the bottom end, because I got bearings, I got my rods today. We'll do all that. We're definitely going to check clearances with the right stuff, plastic gauge, and we should get this bottom end together, rear main seal. I'll show you all that good fancy doodad stuff, but first let's move on to the cam bearings here. But I'll give her my best whirl for you fellers and fellettes. Gotta appreciate the 14 women that watch this video in my lifetime. Alright, so I have the basic cam bearing tool here. We have our end here. We got the long shaft, and we got this cone on, since I have already taken out the first cam bearing, because I won't lie, it's been a while and I wanted to make sure I did it right before I did it on camera and embarrassed myself. So this is going to be really hard, but basically take your cam bearing tool. If you're already doing your first one, you do the first one. If you're doing your second one, you slide in here, bottom it out there against, you see how it's bottomed out against the metal. I cannot shove this in any further. You have to I can't do it one-handed, but you'll have to trust me. See that hex bit right there? You tighten that down so the rubber inside shrinks, expands and tightens up on the bearing. So let me just do that real quick. Hold on. We're back. So I tightened up that rubber collar thingy in there, and now we're going to slide our cone to the main here, which just centers this big long rod. And I'm going to take our trusty Tanya Harding 9000, the old BFH, and I'm going to pound on this end here until this bearing comes out. Here, let me put the camera down here so you can see the bearing and what it's doing. Put it on this thing. Swing your purse. There we go. So now you see the cam bearing is gone. Now, if I can even show you guys without ruining Jacob's GoPro here, I'm going to loosen up this knob, and since this is a really cheap cam bearing tool, this bearing should slide it off, but it being cheap, I'm going to force it back against its board like this, and pull out your cam bearing. There you go. There you go. That's how you punch out cam bearings. It's not very difficult. It's a pretty simple practice, but you really do need this tool. Like, this is, you can't do it without the eBay special tool. Granted, you should probably pick up a more expensive tool, but this is what I can afford. So quick. Well, let me punch these out real quick, and I'll get back to you and showing you how to install cam bearings. Hey fellers, I just knocked out our final cam bearing here. I also took out the rear cover. I'm not sure what you'd call it. Oil cover, rear oil cover. Took out this little plug that goes in all the way in the back of the motor, because you can't get the cam bearings out unless you do that. So if I can show you on a small block Chevy, we have oiling holes at the, well, it'd be 12 o'clock. Right now it's 6 o'clock. The 12 o'clock location and the 6 o'clock position, so straight up and down. Now, these new bearings have a singular oiling hole, and it is at the, well, we're gonna put it personally. It's all up to you. Basically, it's another thing of conflict. Where to clock your oil bearings on this motor. You see how this is grooved in here? It really doesn't matter on this motor where you really punch in these cam bearings because of that groove right there. However, look, actually I take that back. Look at the back, look at the rearmost cam bearing. Has a groove. Oh, all the way out back actually. Yeah, we're gonna have to see about that. Oh, my light's dying. But yeah, basically all you gotta do is just punch in your cam bearings. I got my one cam bearing here. All you gotta do is just slip it over this little rubber thing and tighten this up, and now your cam bearing ain't going anywhere. So that's how you do that. It's pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. Kind of hard to mess up that, but you see how we got 5 cam bearings here? You don't want to put this cam bearing in position number 3. It'll actually say on the box most times. There you go, right there. See how it has the part number? And it has position 1, 2 and 5, 3 and 4. So you can mix them up a little bit, but so it goes left to right, front to back. Pretty simple. We'll punch in this one first. And I'll show you that. It's just a reverse thing of punching them out. You punch them in to the right side. Make sure the oiling hole is either 6 o'clock or 12 o'clock. And yeah, it's pretty simple. It's pretty hard to mess this up. I mean, but some motors without this groove here, you have to absolutely line up the oiling hole right, or you're not going to have oil to that cam journal. I'm going to quickly punch these in real quick. And well, at least you guys now know how to punch in cam bearings for $40 to $60 something for what I have all in total at home. You don't take it to a machine shop. You can just do it right here in house at home, you know, and not have to pay the big man $300 to do it for you. Alright fellas, I just want to clarify a couple of small things before I punch in these cam bearings. I want to show you just to maybe clear the air on maybe a little bit of confusion that people might have when punching in these bearings. Now obviously I'm only 20 years old, so you can take my information however you want, but this is what I've been taught and this is what I do. Now when it comes to your bearing, let's say, let me grab our cam bearing here and pretend I'm going to put this one in. You see how there's 2 oiling holes here. We got one at, I'm going to say this is the top of the bearing right here, where my thumb is right now, and where my thumb is now is the bottom. Top is 12, this is 6 o'clock. You know how to read a clock, let's hope. So with the block facing upside down towards you, you take this bottom hole, this is what I like to do, and put it right here at the 6 o'clock position. Right here, lining up with that oiling hole right there. Now, that is completely up to debate. A lot of people have said otherwise or whatever, but this is how I saw a picture online. You know how that goes. Of this hole being on the bottom on a factory cam bearing in a small block Chevy. So, you know, with this big groove here, really, the only thing you really have to worry about is this hole being in the groove. So, you know what? I'll show you guys me doing it. So when this motor blows up in about, I don't know, 2 weeks time, you know, it's not my doing. And I'm going to mark the top of the bearing exactly 180 degrees out from the hole, so I know where the hole is roughly, so I can punch it in correctly, kind of like that. In case my brain decides, you know what, screw you, we're not gonna let you remember today. But all right, punch this on here and tighten up this bearing tool. So now, no matter what, I know where that oiling hole is. I'm going to line up our tool here. Now you don't want to rotate it too crazily. I'm going to line up our cam bearing tool here. Get it lined up as good as I can. Make it fall while I'm looking for my hammer. That's good. Alright. Line up this cam bearing here. Get it as straight up and down as possible. And we're going to try to get started in here. Sorry fellers, I had to find a non-metric Allen wrench for my small block Chevy. You know, unacceptable to have a metric Allen wrench in a small block Chevy. Alright, I'll kick this in here. And yep, we have full access into the oiling hole. That cam bearing is installed. So let me show you, that was number 5 in our box. Now we're going to go to number 4. Installed. Beautiful. Beautifully well crafted. Alright, so you guys, I hope you guys are getting the idea here. How to do the cam bearings. Pretty simple. If me with a hammer and cheap tools can do it, I bet you guys can do it too. So I'm going to punch these other 3 in. Wait, 3? Yeah. Punch these other 3 in real quick, and I'll show you the end results, and then we'll get to the bottom end. I promise we'll get to the bottom end eventually. Alright, we're back. I got the cam bearing installed. I didn't show it, but it goes in there and spins very well. So now, you know what time it is? It's bottom end time. Woohoo! I already brake cleaned all this, got all the oil off of here. Very important thing to do. Take some compressed air, no matter how you got it, air compressor, one of those computer nerd nozzles. Blow out every single hole, dirt, debris, and just go over it one more time just before you put your bearings in. Yeah, now there's a crank in it, and you'll have to trust me. I plastic gauged them all. Actually, I have photographic evidence. I'm not just saying this. They are all hair tight, but within tolerance. They're a little tighter than I'd want, but it's a freshly machined crank and everything. I have receipts. This is main 1. You can see the plastic gauge. That is 2000s. It's right between 2000s and 17 10,000s. There you go. And that's the same story for every single one, is right smack dab in between. On the, maybe this one's a little on the tight for main 2, but all of them are right in that spec on the plastic gauge right here. I'm sorry, I really wish I could have got that on camera, but unfortunately I did not, because Jacob's camera was dead and I did not know. It made a beeping noise. I don't know, but, and I got main 1 and main 2 in with the bearings, so I'll show you what my procedure for at least main 3 and main 4, and I'll, actually, you know what, I'll show you the rest, because this last main requires a little bit of extra care because of a rear main seal, and I have a 2-piece rear main seal block, so I'll show you how to do that, or at least how I do it. As you can tell, she spins over really nice so far, so that's a good sign. But all the bearings are already in the caps and everything has been cleaned, but I'm going to go over and clean it again, make sure they're doubly clean, blow them with air, and I'm only snugging them down. I'm going to torque them after I get all the caps in here and happy and all that good stuff. Alright, so I've got main cap 3 here, stamped 3. Probably can't see it at all, and you can see proof of my plastic gauge. I swear I did it. I'm not just saying it, I actually plastic gauged it. So what I'm going to do is just brake clean the whole thing, get rid of a lot of this junk that's on here, dirt and debris, clean it up, go over with a blue towel, and then blow off all the remnants of the blue towel. Put a little bit of oil on these threads, and because they're main caps, and I'll throw it in there with some assembly lube on it, snap the caps down. Pretty simple stuff, but I mean, this isn't really a how-to. This is just showing you how I do this in the process of this build. So if you want a how-to, there's plenty of better people who have done this way more times than I have, but this is just what I do. So first step, obviously, the Bracklin. You're going to want to make sure once you spray this, you get a nice big whiff of it too. So once you spray it down, just give her a... Once you just start hearing colors, that's when you know you should probably stop, and that's enough brake clean. So, but I'm hearing purple right now, so I should probably stop spraying. So we'll just get this wiped off, It's pretty primitive. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't do this probably as good as you should, realistically. You should do this a lot better than I do it, but except low buck, and I'm doing with what I have. So now I take my compressed air and get everything nice and clean. Now I'm going to take a dab of this motor oil. If you remember from last time, I actually did fill this, so don't worry, we're not going to be sitting here for 5 minutes trying to figure that out. And this is what I use for assembly grease. It's old Napa Lubriplate. They don't even sell this anymore, I don't think, but it's old school stuff, but it works good. I mean, I've done 4 engine builds now with it and haven't had a complaint yet. It's just, it's really messy, but it's kind of a good thing when you're assembling an engine. So, alright, so that is down, ready to go, ready to rock. You make sure the caps are orientated correctly with the arrow and the number. We'll slap it down right here in place. Grab our dead blow and just, that's all you need. One quick swift blow. I always check, make sure all the bolts can screw in. Once that happens, get the cap snug down. So I'm just going to snug them down for now. I'll torque them here in a second after I get all the caps on. I don't know why, but that's just makes it so I don't forget as easily. I'm just going to grab a paint marker and mark everything I torque. That's always one, because Jacob will never let me live it down that I forgot to torque a rod cap and completely wreck my motor. Now you definitely want to listen for a crack when you do that. Not like a metal breaking crack, but a good solid whack when the bearings, when the caps go in, because if you don't have that and the caps move around, that shows a sign of bearing lock, which is very susceptible in 2-bolt main motors that you spin high RPM. The bearings will actually, the caps will walk back and forth. That or a worn out block that's been together in and out, heat soaked to 9,000 degrees in your uncle's 3rd gen because he forgot to fill it with coolant. You'll see the caps are loose in here, so I'll actually show you. Very special thing right here. You take a center punch and you punch in right here before you I think this side's got it too, maybe not, but looks like the rest of this is pretty good. But you take a center punch and you smack it right here to compress that metal out this way, and it helps lock the cap in. And another thing too, if you don't have arrows, unless your engine was built on a Friday or a Monday morning, most of the time when you look at the part number, you will be able to read it from the back of the engine. It won't be upside down. It will be upside down from the front of the engine. Is basically what I'm trying to say. But alright, that's snugged down. And now let me show you the magic of doing the rear main seal here. It has a 2-piece rear main seal design. Another good thing I check is make sure your crank can still turn, no binding. Beautiful. Yeah, you want to get your rear main seal here. I already put it in the block, which unfortunately I didn't get a video of that, but you want to offset your rear main seal. You can see right there, see how offset it is? I got about 3/8 to 1/2 inch sticking out, and the other side is buried in there. You're going to want to offset the main on the seal on the main cap as well with the same thing. Lock it in. That really helps the leaks, and throw some RTV on these corners, which I'm going to do on the cap. Look at that, the old right stuff. You know it's good because it was really expensive. Here, 2-bolt main cap. You see there is evidence of that. We're just going to clean up all the ends here, make sure there's no metal shavings on the cap or anything. Really clean up where this rear main seal is going to ride. Alright, once that's all cleaned up, I'm going to install this rear main seal first. So, installing the rear main seal. You see where this V is? Kind of the opening on this V, where it kind of points back towards you. You want the opening of this V where it opens up the big side of this lip, basically. See how it's little on this left side, big on this right side. You want the big side facing towards the front of the motor. So if we have the bearing cap sitting like this, let's say you're facing the same direction as the motor since you're sitting on it right now. We want to install our rear main seal like this. Bam, snug it in the cap. I'm going to offset it quite a bit, 3/8 of an inch I was talking about, to this side because this side's sticking up on that side. The block, I'm going to get some grease on here, and I'm going to get a dab of RTV on this and a dab of RTV on that, just to try to seal her up a little better. I guarantee you this RTV hasn't seen the day of light in 27 years since Jimmy Fallon? Jimmy Carter. Good Lord, Sean, you are on one today. I apologize for being on one today. I've just got off the old work ski, the old night shift, driving big old haul trucks. Yeah. Now I'll get some lubricate on here, which seems to be the internet's favorite assembly lube. That's a joke. Seems like everyone has something against lubricate. I don't know. Comment down below. What's your thoughts on the old lubricate? Also, what's your thoughts on grease in the rear main seal? It can be questionable if you ask the right people, but I'm also going to grease the sides of this, or grease. I'm going to throw some assembly lube right here on the thrust bearing side. Try to give it some help. Another thing you want to check is some engines, I believe, the oil pump drive shaft has to go in before you do other things. Alright, we got our lubricated up, RTV'd smeared. So let's drop her in. There is a locating tab on each side. And then I'm just going to grab the dead blow and smoke her in place. Give me just a tickle. Just a tickle of her. Oh, you don't want too much because if you hydraulic these threads and snap one off, you will learn a new vocabulary very quickly. And since I don't want to get Jacob demonetized, let's try not to repeat that today. So, first step is picking the right torque wrench. This was like the nicest cheap one they had at Harbor Freight. You're going to want to set your torque wrench on a 4-bolt main small block to 70 foot-pounds for the inners and 65 foot-pounds for the outers. You don't want to do from here to here. You want to start from the middle and work your way out. Does it make a difference in the long run? Probably not, but you know what? Hey, you guys have missed a lot since last time. It's about, let's say, a week since I last recorded. I haven't really been able to get much done, but I found out that every single piston I ordered for this motor is completely wrong. I accidentally ordered pistons for a standard stroke motor, which meant the pistons sat about that high above the deck surface. I didn't record any of this because I was in such a foul mood. I was about ready to scrap the whole thing and delete all these files, but I got some new pistons on their way, and they're taking their sweet, sweet time to get here. USPS, I hope you never sponsor me because I do not like you. Anyways, back to more important stuff. I also ordered the wrong oil pump too. I'm really good at this. No. I ordered an oil pump. No, here's a fun fact for you small block loving people. If I can find the box. Oh, here, it's in the garbage. Now, I didn't know this before, but that's a Melling M55 HV because I chose a high volume, high pressure pump. Don't order a Melling 155 HV or 155 and 155 if you have a 5/8 pickup tube diameter. Well, I found out the hard way. Yeah, the 155 has a 3/4 inch pickup tube diameter. Yay! So we got that returned and all that stuff. We got that sent back. The pistons are sent back and my new ones are on their way. And currently I got a set of rods, pit and rings sitting here waiting to get put on the new rods. But that's not what we're doing today. Today, we're going to be doing something that could make me cry. We're going to be drilling this crank. Now I know, you're hearing drilling crank and you're going, what are you doing? Well, trust me, I'm a professional, semi-amateur expert. Now let me tell you this first off. See how there's only one keyway on this crankshaft. As like any other motor, it has one keyway. That's that little slot right there. When you start driving blowers, especially roots blowers, if you leave just one key in there, you can actually spin that key. You can actually break those woodruff keys because there's so much, you know, parasitic draw on the blower. It has so much force on this rotating harmonic balancer, you can actually shear that off. So that is why I went online and paid way too much for a kit from Alki Digger. It is a crank drill kit, I guess you'd call it. It comes with, normally it comes with one pin here, a drill bit, and this little fixture with this bolt. And I'm going to show you how, or I'm going to show you how to do this, how to install this, and how to drill your crank successfully. Or this will be for documentation purposes when I have my full emotional breakdown when I do it wrong and I have a big hole in my crank. 10-4? Alright. Anyways, obviously, before you start slapping your fixtures in and grabbing your drill and oil, you want to make some measurements. I got them written down right here. We got to drill the crank and the harmonic balancer all in one shot. So, to do that, we need to figure out how deep this harmonic balancer is from here, the crank, to the outside edge. So I got my extremely expensive Harbor Freight micrometer, which I definitely trust to do this. And we just slide this in here till it's flush there. We pull our measurement. That is just barely shy of an inch. So come over here. I've written down crank is in 1 inch, and then I grabbed the actual pin itself, measured that up. You can't really see very well because I need 2 hands, but there we go. Take your pin, do that, and measure it. It's at 11/16 of an inch. So we have to drill a total of 1 and 11/16 inches into the crank, which means it'll take up this 1 inch right here and go 11/16 of an inch into the bore. You catching my drift here? So I'm going to take our drill bit and a piece of masking tape here to tell me how far I have to drill. I'm going to take my calibrated calipers and measure from the end to 1 inch and 11/16. Which I can't screw up either, because that would be really bad if I did that. But I have taped very accurately 1 inch and 11/16 here. I've already put oil on this bolt, so we'll just tighten this down. Oh, snug it down, I guess. Let me tighten it. And we have our mark. We're going to put it 180 degrees out and tighten this up. Get this chucked up. And unfortunately, we're going to start drilling into this thing, which is really scary. So now we're down here. All you got to do is put the drill bit in there like that. Start drilling. But first thing I'm going to do, put a radical amount of oil on that and in the hole. And we're going to drill until the tape. If you get to the tape, simply pull her out. That was it. Congratulations, you drilled your crank. But now, it's the $1.5 million question. Did we do it right? Now here's another unfortunate thing I just noticed. We never even started drilling in the crank. We just drilled the balancer. I don't know why that would be. Oh! I forgot to calculate the thickness of the spacer. Jeez. Alright. Well, now you guys know. If you guys are ever drilling your crank with the Alki Digger kit, add 1/2 inch to your add 1/2 inch to your measurement. Now, as you can see, we've got her drilled. Our crank is drilled. So we're at about 1.5 inches, which prior to our measurements should mean this pin should slide right in, right? You think it will? Well, about to find out. Well, if you ask me, I don't think that's in far enough. Which I just realized. Holy crap, are we screwed? How are we going to get that pin back out? Now we got a pin that's about halfway into the crank. Yeah. What do we think, boys? We're probably just going to run it. I won't lie. Jacob, don't put this on YouTube. Of me being a complete idiot. Alrighty. I think that's actually pretty good. I mean, it should be flush realistically, but our crank is pinned. We're going to run it, and I think we're going to have many more issues based on the cast crank anyways. But I couldn't afford a forged crank, so this will have to do. So, yeah, I guess that's how you drill and pin your crank. Unless I find a way to pull that pin out. But you guys get the general idea. Don't do what I did. Do what I told you. You know. Be smart. Should have drilled deeper. Anyway, that's going to do it for this little bit. You guys are going to see me back again on this motor when we finally get pistons in the mail. They're still miles out. I don't know where they're ever going to, or when they're ever going to show up, but when they do, we're going to throw them in this block. We're going to get heads on. We're going to paint the engine. We're going to get the oil pan on. Bottom end together, top end together. We're going to run into push rod clearance issues, but I'll show you how I'm going to sketchily put my way around that. We'll get to put the blower drive on, the water pump, drop it in the motor, or drop it into the engine bay, put on the rest of the accessories, hook up the torque converter, all that good stuff, and I'll still have a motor that probably won't run. But hey, if this thing doesn't blow or surge, I will sell it to one of you. I'll give it away to one of you lucky subscribers. Okay. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Hope you guys learned something. You know, how not to drill, or how you should, not how I should, drill your crank. What oil pump you should order, and what pistons you should order. Remember, always check your parts before you order them. Otherwise, you'll be screwed like me. We're going to try our best to get it. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.